Hi, ladies. Okay, I think Facebook is working. Let me know if you come on, if you can see me and hear me. Sorry for the main man cave thing happening here. My husband's been working in our basement. Of course, he's home, right? Working from home. So that's been a little bit of an adjustment, and the kid's home, so things are crazy, but it's the weekend anyways. So it's Derek's last day off of his 4 days, and then he goes back for another 10-day deployment, they call it. So anyway, but that's working out great. We're having such a good time. I hope you all are doing fabulous as well. And I want to thank anybody new. Say hi, welcome you, or if you just haven't seen me in a while, or you haven't, you're not familiar with what I do. I'm Leela Thomas Sohn. I am a dating, relationship, and marriage mentor, and I love to help women manifest their ideal relationship. And today I just want to talk a little bit about sort of my methods, how I do that, and why I do it the way I do, okay? So just sort of the two concepts to compare is that we've got sort of the theoretical, like spiritual, or maybe those are slightly different things. So, but what I mean is, like, if you're going through self-development, if you're learning to up level and manifest in a certain area of your life, let's say, I mean, manifesting happens in all areas, and you can up level all areas, and they can overflow from one area to another, right? So ideally, we're elevated in our consciousness in all areas. We're not. That was even a little bit in the Fireproof movie from Friday night that I did the live watch party here, where it talks about, like, you can't really hide, like, an addiction, for one, as an example, from the rest of your life. It's always going to spill over. I'm getting off a little bit on a tangent, but just to say that, often we have one area in our life that seems to manifest and up level and develop more easily. We all have strengths and weaknesses, right? But you can't just completely ignore, say, relationships, which obviously is what I do, or specialize in. But if you're doing super well in all your other arenas of your life, and just let the relationship piece lag down, it's eventually going to spill over and just damage everything else, right? I hope this is making sense. Say hi if you're watching, if this is making sense too. But that was kind of a tangent from what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about was how to address up-leveling, manifesting, raising your vibration in the different areas of your life. Say if you're taking a program, for example, if you're getting coaching, if you're going to therapy, if you're reading a book, that we're going to come at the problem from different directions and different techniques and strategies, right? So one way is to sort of talk in theory about your spirituality, your role in the universe, and how you can heal wounds and traumas, how you can shift your mindset and be in more of an abundance mindset, eliminate limiting beliefs, all that kind of thing, right? Do you understand? So mindset, philosophy, spirituality, that's kind of one direction to go in improving and developing and elevating whatever aspect of your life you're trying to improve, right? The other approach and direction you can come at for change in your life is behavioral. It is putting into practice. So you might see rules, you might see, like, say this, like specific phrases to change the way you're reacting to people and dealing with triggers, and like dealing with your spouse, for example, right? And so the behavioral approach is kind of changing the outside, kind of changing externally how you're dealing with the problem, as opposed to the internal, right? If that makes sense. And what I want to mention, and I love both approaches. I deal with both approaches to a certain extent, but I just want to talk a little bit about why and what the behavioral aspect and approach does for you. So if you're getting really practical advice, which I love and I always encourage and teach, dealing with your problem in the present day. So if you want to think about like childhood trauma and how that affects your relationship patterns, for example, we can talk about the childhood trauma, but from my perspective, what is most productive and efficient, and it creates the most breakthroughs, it creates the most light bulb moments and the most progress quickly when you look at present day emotional responses, like how you're reacting to your parents or your spouse, for example, how that's all playing out in the present day. And the reason, or one of the big reasons, and what I wanted to address today, what that does for you is it creates the internal change. It actually creates the changes that all the spirituality and everything is talking about, because it's rewiring your nervous system. It is changing the pathways and the patterns, which that's the goal, right? Like if you have destructive relationship patterns that come from childhood traumas and your family history, your goal isn't to fix the past. Your goal is to act in a more elevated manner today, right? To deal with patterns to deal with situations more constructively today, right? So what happens is in childhood, we develop dysfunctional patterns because they're actually functional in that situation. They're actually protecting us when we're little, right? We're staying safe because the way we react is more self-preservation for us in that situation, because we're powerless against our parents and against the outside world. We can't change them. All we can do is change the way we handle it. And so that's how those patterns get started, right? But then when you're an adult and you're in the real world and you're dealing with other adults, then those patterns become dysfunctional. Does that make sense? So those patterns are only dysfunctional in context. And I hope this is even helpful to know too as a mindset shift, because a lot of us, we identify a dysfunctional pattern in our life in the way we react to people. Like we get triggered, we go, just anxiety, panic, anger, whatever our pattern happens to be, the way I react to my husband, the way I react to my children, whatever it is, if I determine that it's dysfunctional, that it's causing problems in my life, it's only because it was functional at one time when it became ingrained. Does that make sense? So I think even just knowing that can be a helpful mindset shift, because we feel like shame if we're doing something wrong, when we feel like our patterns need to change. Does that make sense? So that's one angle to come after it from, right? Is that mindset. But what I'm describing and telling you was most helpful for me was to actually, and what this is how it works for my clients, is when we put into practice, when we start putting one foot in front of the other, acting out the functional patterns, what's functional in context now, what helps us in context now, that actually reprograms the nervous system to behave and react in that functional pattern, right? So that thing that we're so worried about, we do unconsciously because it started in childhood, because my mom, like hated the way she looked, and she was jealous of me being young and pretty at the time, let's just say, as an example. That because of that, I developed shame around my appearance, and I thought I should minimize my attractiveness because I didn't want to compete with my mom. I didn't want to make her jealous. I didn't want to make her feel insecure. Right? So that was functional in the past as a child, and now it's not functional for me. I need to be able to grow into my womanhood and set a good example for my daughters that it's okay to look beautiful. It's okay to take care of your body and your appearance, right? So that's our example of a pattern. Oh, hi, Mina. Yay. Thank you. Thank you for coming in live. So anyway, I was just describing how if we discover this dysfunctional pattern, that it's dysfunctional in context, that we can take steps in our behavior. So if I identify this pattern, then I can make changes like dedicating time and energy to my appearance, improving my appearance, that will rewrite that programming that I had, that internalized the shame around my appearance. I hope that makes sense. So that was kind of the example I wanted to describe of how going through the motions, having the right words to say, having the right steps to take, those really practical tips, if you actually follow them, that will help you make those internal shifts. So that's one reason that I really like to include this in my programs and my coaching, is because I've had such success with that type of solution, addressing patterns in that way from a behavioral perspective. So I hope this is enlightening and illuminating to you all. And please, if you find value in it, go ahead and subscribe on my website. I'm putting the link in the comments now. And right now, what I'm really excited about telling you about is my new program, Awaken the Fire in Your Prince, that includes right now, just for a very limited time, the admission to my Empress Etiquette Soiree, and I will include the link in the comments to that. Maybe, yes, I have it here. And so this would be an example of learning the behaviors that kind of rewrite those patterns internally, and you don't have to have as much. I mean, like I said, obviously the spiritual elevation, the mindset shifts that I just described, all of that is wonderful and helpful. But things like just changing your changing your appearance, changing how you relate. Oh, thank you, Mina. She says makes complete sense. Thank you. That this can make internal changes. And so obsessed with those topics and names. Sounds so juicy. Oh yeah, I'm glad you like it. I am super excited about these topics and programs. And so the Empress Etiquette Soiree is going to be live on May 16th, which is a Saturday. Of course, it will be recorded if you can't make it live. But the price will go up as we get closer, so please go ahead and snag your spot. There's only a few spots available because we'll be doing live exercises. There's like 5 workshops in there that we'll take breaks in between and have an opportunity to practice what we've learned. So like I said, those are the steps that you act them out, and that recreates and rewrites those patterns and habits. We'll be working on posture, etiquette, of course, and lots of juicy, fun stuff. So I've already gotten lots of input on what you ladies want to learn about, please let me know if you have more comments or questions on what to include in that. I would be happy to hear them. And yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. So keep an eye out. I will be posting the details of the Love Dare Challenge for this week coming up soon. And yeah, just always feel free to say hi, pop me a message, or I'd love to hop on a chat with you as well if you have questions about any of my programs. And I will put the link to schedule with me as well if you do want to meet up. That is in the comments too. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend and a lovely, peaceful Sunday. You might be able to hear my crazy children upstairs. If you know, whatever, it is what it is. Got a little cabin fever. It's been raining all week. So everybody have a lovely rest of your Sunday, and I will see you again right here very soon. Bye.